Hi, today is January 1st, 2025, and that means it's time for a WIP parade. Hi, I'm Marissa, MKissa Creations here on YouTube and Flosstube, our little cozy corner of the crafty YouTube internet. And I am also MKissa Creations over on Instagram, so please feel free to come join me over there as well. And today I am going to show you all of my WIPs that I have going from 2024 into 2025. I'm going to give you a few stats. I already did a 25 new starts in 2025 planning video, so check that out if you're wanting to see what I have going forward. And later today I am going to do a new start. That will be Quinto Acuto, which I have talked about a few times from Long Dog Samplers, with my own floss that I dyed. And yeah, so let's get going on those WIPs. Today we are going to do it a little differently. I am going to try to go in order, but a lot of my WIPs share project bags, and you can kind of see what I have going on over here. I've left some room here for some picture inserting and things like that. I think I left enough space between me and the camera to show you some of my bigger projects. If you are new, thank you so much for joining me. I love big projects. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back, and you know I love big projects. So we're gonna get a glimpse of some of those, and I actually think that I touched every one of my WIPs this year. That was my goal last year. It's one of my goals moving forward this year. I feel like sometimes stuff just gets kind of put to the wayside. Last year I made a concerted effort to make sure that I touched those WIPs. I did a lot of it in the beginning of the year, just to make sure that I really did them and didn't forget about that goal. This year it's going to be probably a bit of the same, but I really just want to get through my projects. I also had two really big finishes this year that were WIPs that had been on my WIP list for a long time. Not the most giant projects, but pretty big. One of them was Ink Circles 99, which I will insert a picture of my finish here for you. And then the other one was Long Dog Samplers, the token, which I will also insert a picture for you here. So both of those projects had been pretty consistently on my WIP parade videos, and I feel like they were just always hanger honors, and finally kind of put in the effort to get them done, and it did feel really good. I am definitely a process stitcher and not necessarily a progress stitcher, but it really did feel great to get those off of my list. 99's on the wall. It's right there though, so you can't really see it, but I have not found the perfect frame for the token yet. I really don't want to pay to have it professionally framed, but I think it is kind of an odd size, so it might be a professional frame job, just because of how much I love the piece and how much it means. We have kind of a old school, like early 2000s, mid early 2000s gallery wall with family photos, and there's some wedding pictures on there, so I would love to fit the token in with that. But yeah, all right, so a few stats for my trusty purple notebook. So I have shared this before, but again, if you're new, we'll just go over it again. I track, I'm a pen and paper tracker. I have a new tablet, and I've been looking at the possibility of planning apps, but I don't know yet. So if you have one that you would like to recommend for a Galaxy, an Android tablet, let me know. Drop it down in the comments for me, because I am kind of lost just looking in the Google Play Store, and you know, you can read reviews. I don't know. I would rather hear from a stitcher who either uses it for stitching tracking, or I know a lot of people are using Notion, but I would like something that I would be able to use in both my non-cross-stitch life and my regular life, and I don't know if Notion does that. Yeah, so I need to do a little bit more homework, but if you've got something for me, definitely like throw it down there in the comments. So I track year to year. I have a WIP list that I just carry over. So here's last year's WIP list. So so there's no spoilers just yet. So that's how I start it, with what I've carried over from year to year. And then I just carry over my list and carry over my start date. And then if I have a finish date, I add it in there. So I have all the way back in here to 2020 was the first time I did it. I do have carryover stats from 2019 to 2020, but that was the first year that I kept my running WIP list in this notebook. All right, so 2024 final stats. I started the year with 24 WIPs. I had 19 new starts. I had 9 finishes, and I UFO'd 4 projects. I am carrying over 30 projects total. So the numbers break down on those as 2 from 2017, 4 from 2018, 4 from 2019, 6 from 2020, 1 from 2021, 1 from 2023, and 12 from 2024. So last year I attempted 24 new starts in 2024. Like I just said, I had 19. So I didn't quite make it to the 24, but of those 19, I finished 7. So not too shabby, especially with my love of larger projects. I feel like that was a pretty good stat for me, to only be carrying over 12 out of the 19 that I started. And then again, had those 9 finishes, 2 of which were pretty large projects. So super excited about that. And now we will go through the WIPs. I have not unpacked everything. I have a lot of projects that share WIP bags or project bags. I unzipped everything and unziplocked everything, but some of these might go a little out of order. I'm gonna try to go in the most order that I can, because I didn't fully organize by theme. So maybe next year we'll do a organize by theme. I also, my progress video, my where they were last year shots are from my WIP parade last year. So I'm really hoping this year, after I make, another reason why I'm keeping it like this until I open it all, is that I didn't want to mess before and a mess after. So I'm going to take pictures of everything before I put them back into their bags. So you won't have to sit here with me putting them back in. You're just gonna have to deal with me getting them out. But I'm gonna take pictures of everything before and kind of stick it into a folder on my computer, so that next year when I go to film, I will have actual pictures of stuff and not screenshots from my previous video, because some of them are a little bit less than desirable for me personally. But you'll be able to get the gist of where I was on stuff. But catching those screenshots can be a little difficult. All right, so my oldest WIP, which last year my oldest WIP was the Ink Circles 99. And I made that my snow day project, and I said this year that I was gonna make my oldest WIP my snow day project or precipitation day project for this year too. I don't think I'm going to, because I don't think I will pick it up that much. It is a Halloween piece, and it is just like a little bit more seasonal than I would want for a like winter stitching piece. So it is Midnight Ride. This is from Needleling Designs, and it is in the 2014 Halloween Collector's Edition issue. All right, and there's my moon floss is sneaking out, and its tag. Okay, so I will put where I was last year in the WIP parade here. And then I will show you the progress that I've made. So I actually got a good chunk of housing stitched, and I finally was able to add in the yellow. So this is just a black and yellow piece. The yellow is for the moon. I am using Mo Sale Sunflower for the lighting in the windows and what will be the moon. So it's like a very pale and a little bit variegated yellow. I think it will be perfect. It has been set aside for that for a long time. So I'm pretty jazzed on the amount of this that I got done. I added the bat in, or did I do 2 bats? No, I did 1 bat. Yeah, just 1 bat. But I just couldn't see making that my, Precipitation Day stitch that I was like wanting to pick up on. But my next piece is going to be my Precipitation Day stitch, and it's a big one, and it's one that has not seen as much progress on it as it should, which is why I really wanted it to be that stitch. And it is the Shores of Hawran Hollow from Carriage House Samplings. So that's the back of the cover photo, which just shows a larger version of it. This is the, I think it's just easier to see this way. And so we'll put up where I was last year. And then where I am now. So I am close to finishing this block. I'll kind of hold it over here, so hopefully I will keep that other one in there. So I did the sun, I did the words. I finished some emptiness I think I had down here. So I've got some seagulls, I think, to stitch across here. Is that it? Yeah, I just got some seagulls to stitch across the bottom. The sun has like a smiley face in it. I didn't do it. I just left it plain. This piece doesn't seem like a smiley face sun piece to me. And if you like it, then you like it. But for me, it was not that. So I have not put the smiley face in the sun, and I'm enjoying it. So I'm going to load that into a Q-snap today. I'm going to pull some stuff that I have in Q-snaps out. That's going to get loaded into a Q-snap today. It's raining, but again, I have my New Year, New Start that I want to get to. So if I feel like I need to switch projects later, I will switch to that. But right now, New Year, New Start gets precedence. That being said, one of my other major stitch goals this year is to finish a New Year, New Start. So Shores of Hawran Hollow was started on 10/18/17. But just spoiler alert, I have 4 languishing New Year, New Starts from 2018, 19, 20, and 24. So one of my goals this year is to finish a New Year, New Start from any year. It doesn't matter which year I have it from. I just need to get one of those done. I haven't decided where my focus is going to be, although I have an inkling of what I'm feeling the most drawn to. We'll see when we get to it. That's the beauty of these WIP parades. I love it so much because you really like look at all your projects and see how they make you feel. That my very first project, my Midnight Ride that I started 5/16/17 in May of 2017. Why I was starting a Halloween project in May of 2017. I must have done a mania. It must have been like get all these starts done. And that one has just kind of hung out. But I don't know, you really know when you're doing these WIP parades, like, do I feel passionate enough about this project to continue? Do I want to pick it up? Does it need to get UFO'd? This is the first year, last year, where I actually like took a step back from some of my projects and said, you know what, like those are not bringing me joy being in my WIP pile. They feel daunting and not joyful. So they're gonna go. And they went. And I have one of them still with fabric and all the patterns for it because it's the Prairie Schooler ABCs was one of my UFOs. And I have 2 of the pip blocks almost done. I was going to do it as a big stitch, but I really got to looking at it, and it's just not my style right now. It's not gonna, like, it's not something that I want to get hung on the wall and put in my house. So then what am I stitching it for? It's a cool project, and maybe Michelle, Maine Moose Mom, thank you. She was like, don't get rid of it just yet. And I really appreciate that. She was like, just kind of think, because it might change. Like, there was one time where I really loved those patterns, and there might be a time again where I really love those patterns. So those are still going to sit there, and but they're not in my, like, you should work on this pile. And all of these are in my you should work on this pile. And if I don't feel like they should be, then they need to go take a break. All right, number 3. Number 3 is a New Year, New Start from 2018. It is Mirabillia's Sleeping Princess. I'll let that get into focus for a second. I feel like I always pull them away too fast. Right after the, so this is kind of the Princess and the Pea Mirabillia. She is on a bunch of mattresses with her sheets hanging down and her, like, 4-poster canopy bed. She's just beautiful. I really love her, and I love stitching on her. I am stitching her on, I just don't do it a lot. I am stitching her on 32 count Moana from Hand-Dyed Fabrics by Steph. And I will insert a picture here of where I was last year. And then I will show you, I actually have worked on this quite recently. So let's see. Just stand up for this one. All right, so I worked on, like, primarily these 2 mattresses right here, and got quite a bit done actually in just a couple days. This is my only project that's on Lugana that's not like 1/1 25 count Lugana. And I really enjoy stitching on it. It's very lovely. I feel like the needle just moves really well through the piece. And it's very pleasant. My stitches lay really nicely on the project. I don't know if that has to do with the fabric or the dyer or what it is, but that piece of fabric just really is awesome. All right, I'm not putting things away. I'm just trying to keep my my mess minimized, and I lost my little white. I have a big white, I have a big white board and a little white board, so that you can see all the things. That's my goal list, which I already told you, one of the big ones, 2 of the big ones, 3 of the big ones. Oh, let's just talk about this now, because I've already gone through the rest of them. We did the first 3. So my 2025 stitch goals, I have 5 of them, are to touch every one of my WIPs, to make Shores of Hawran Hollow my Snow Day, Precipitation Day project and see some real progress on it. To finish a New Year, New Start from any of the years. It probably won't be this year's because that's Quinto Akuto and that's going to be giant. To get 10 finishes, because I got 9 last year, so 10 this year shouldn't be too far-fetched, especially with how large those other projects were. And to enter something into a fair. I might actually bring Ink Circles 99 because it is not that old, and so it would count to like when I had finished it and not be a problem. But we'll see. I don't know if I finish something else and frame something else better. I did frame that on my own in a frame that I found at the thrift store that was a custom frame that somebody donated. So they had actually a signed print from an artist put in that frame at Michael's, and then somebody gave it away. And so those are my favorite frames to find. I've told you that before. If you find a custom frame job at Goodwill and you like the frame, buy it if it's a reasonable price. Because I got that frame for either $2 or $5. It already had a piece of foam core cut to the exact size of the frame inside of it, because that's what they mount their pieces on. and it already had hanging hardware, and I was able to really easily pull out and put back in the the points that get, like, it's called a point driver. So those are points, like the little metal things that hold the page in. Anyways, that's like my thrift store hot tip. If you find something that has been custom framed and it is a reasonable price and you mostly like the frame, grab it, stick it in your frame stash for later. It is the easiest way to refinish or reframe a piece without having to like fight with, like, if you buy a frame at Target or Michael's, sometimes, not all the time, but like a lot of times the prettier frames that we find, they're like, they have the like back that like folds open, and there's not a lot of space in there. A lot of times I end up taking the glass out and not framing with glass, which I prefer not to frame my cross stitch with glass for the most part anyways, unless it's in like a shadow box where the glass is not touching the piece. You could get really professional and get spacers and put them in there, but like those frames that you find at like the regular, those are for pictures, and we can use them for this, but it takes a little finagling and a little bit of it. But if you find something that has already been custom framed, it is so much easier to frame into that frame than it is to something that you buy at Target or Michael's or TJ Maxx or Home Goods, something across those lines. Anyways, framing PSA over. But I will talk about it again in a future video because I am like obsessed with doing my own framing. All right, number 4 I have been working on lately, and it is in a Q-snap because it is Hanukkah, and I started this piece on 1/17/18. I started this for the first time that I did Melanie the Soulful Stitcher's Year of WIPs. It was like you had to have, and I think she's doing it this year, and I actually, now that I'm going to be taking pictures of all of my pieces, and I have my WIP goal of, or I have my finish goal of 10, I might go throw an album up on her Facebook group, either Soulful Stitching or the Soulful Stitcher. I'll put it below. She does the Year of WIPs, and you upload a folder, your own folder of photos of all of your WIPs and your cover photos. And so you had to have a minimum, I think, of 15. And back then I didn't have that number of WIPs. So like I really quick started a bunch of projects in the beginning of 2018. This is the last one other than the Sleeping Princess. So I have gotten all of the rest of them done that I started in order to get them into that, to make myself eligible for that contest. I don't think I ever finished it out. But again, now that I'm taking pictures of all, I might do this year. Okay. Long story long, the theme of Marissa's videos. This is Dreidel Dreidel from Ink Circles. So it is one of her mandala pieces. It's really beautiful. I find that with these pieces, you see them and they're lovely, but you don't really notice like all of the little designs that are in there that make up this whole until you're up close stitching it. And then it's just like, it's killer. It's so beautiful. I'm stitching this with Gentle Arts Cornflower, which my skeins are old, so I don't know if this is what it would actually look like still. It's on a piece of, ooh, I don't know if it's 28 or 32 count linen. I think it's antique white. I got it in like a gift box from somebody, and it was just the right size. So this is where I'm at, and I will put that progress photo where I was before. So I have gotten like all of this area, I think, done this year. So now I have 3 of the 4 menorahs completed, which I feel like those were the daunting aspect of these. I'm very droppy today. This one I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna finish this. I am saying it now, and I really hope that I'm not gonna flake on it. No, I'm not. I'm gonna put the work in. This does not take that long, and a couple of solid days of stitching, and it's good. There's been, I pulled out a lot on this one. There's been a lot of like really tricky linen lines in this piece of linen, where like there's been some really thin pieces. And so there's been times where I've gone over 3 strands and then realized it later and had to frog a bunch. So that's really been the only like hiccup with this piece. But otherwise, I really absolutely love it. Yeah. So there's Dreidel Dreidel. Okay, now we go back into the big pieces. Where does this one live? Yes, it lives here. Barbara Anna, All Creatures Great and Small. This I started 9/22/2018. And where I was last year, and my progress. So I actually have gotten quite a bit done. I think I was only to here, and so I've done all of this down. I've still have a couple more little, like, I think these are acorns, like acorns to fill in. But I made some progress. This is, I think it's Wichelt. It is no longer like a stand up on your own in the spots that it has been in my Q-snap, but it is a very rough linen. It's 40 count. I bought this project on our drive out to Maine from California. I got this at a stitching shop, or the stitching shop in Colorado, in Denver. So fabric is from there, and I bought the pattern there. I went in fairly close to the end of their day, and they were still so super nice to me. So that was an excellent experience. They were very kind and lovely. So All Creatures Great and Small, this one I will pull out to work on. It is one of those great projects that you get the mini finish feel with each little motif that you get done. Although I think I have a half of a pig up here. I really should get back to Mr. Pig up there and let him get finished. Number 6. Number 6. Number 6. Where does number 6 live? Number 6 lives in here. Number 6 is Snug as a Bug from Clouds Factory. I started this on November 6th of 2018. So this is my last of the 4 pieces from 2018. So Snug as a Bug. And my progress, I only had the one butterfly done, or moth. I don't know if it's a moth or a butterfly. I should really look it up. When I showed it last year. And I will insert a picture of what that looked like, but it really is just that moth. And got this beetle done this year. And also, you can kind of see it. So the back stitching is here. The back stitching is called for to be like that. You are supposed to use a color that is like one shade off from your fabric. It so happens that I think I kind of nailed, this is like a scrap piece that I had. I think I kind of nailed the called for color, because that is also the called for color for the back stitching. But I got this beautiful green beetle done this year and finally started on some of that back stitch progress. So I'm happy with that. This is a piece that I really also enjoy stitching on because it is beautiful. It's beautifully charted, and it's so like not Clouds Factory to me. I know they have a wide variety of stitches, and I say this every time I show it, but it just is it's so different, and I love it so much. Okay, Be Thankful. This was one that I was like, maybe it needs to not be on the list anymore. This is from Country Cottage Needleworks. And there we go. It's a little glary, sorry. I'll show you where I was. And I think the reason that I wasn't super into this is because of these like swirly doos on the top and the bottom. They're not my favorite. And so you know what? My cross stitch my rules. I'm just not going to stitch those. And now I have like a new motivation on stitching this. So I added another pumpkin. I added a tall skinny pumpkin. And I'm super excited to stitch the other pumpkins. So that's where we are with that. This is on a 40 count. I believe that this is ale. Picture this plus. It is so dense, so hard to see on. That's the other thing with this project, is that I have to do it in the right light at the right time of day, or it's not happening. So it's slow going when I do stitch on it, but I re-enjoy it again, and I'm glad that I figured out what was stopping me and making me not want to continue stitching on it, because I think it will be a lovely little line with the pumpkins and the Be Thankful and the little crows that are on there. No swirly doos necessary. Just kind of simplify it a little bit. All right. Next piece I actually have worked on this week. So if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen it. Where is it living? It lives in here. A peacock, a unicorn, a badger. And this is one I started like the same time a bunch of people did, and there's a lot of people that are very, very, very far ahead of me. I mean, comparison is the thief of joy, but like, come on, lady, get with the program. So I pulled this out this week and got some stitching done, and I actually made some good progress. So here's where I was, and here's where I am. And it is just, it's gorgeous. So I got some of the green background done, acorns, and then this flower are what I've worked on this year. And this, I don't talk about all my needle minders, but this one's from Perfectly Imperfect Heather. They made needle minders back in the day, and they were one of the people that I started this with, and so it just seemed appropriate to have that needle minder on there, in case you're wondering why there are sugar skulls on my peacock, a unicorn, a badger. And that was made for a Stitch team called the Grinning Ghouls. Okie dokie. And that, I don't know if I said, I started at 7/2/19. Number 9 is my Christmas list. Let's get this Christmas bag out. My Christmas list. No zipper, but you get a little... Alright, Silver Creek samplers. Actually, I think I lied when I said I touched all my WIPs. I don't think I've touched this one. Progress photo, so we'll see. Moment of truth. I think this is the one that I haven't started. Oh, and I'm going to have to switch this needle minder out too. I'll do that later. Here's where I am. And this is my Gustav Klimt needle minder, the Kiss. So that will have to go on my new start for this year in February, my Dreaming of Klimt by Barbara Anna. But this is where my Christmas list is at. I think this is the one I didn't touch. I should have touched it around Christmas time. I made a liar out of myself real quick there, didn't I? All right. So that was 8/1/19 that I started that. And then another Christmas one I started 10/28/19, which is Yuletide Shanty from Plum Street. That lives in a Diana It Is Kismet Stitches bag. I love it. It's like up and down. This is a drum. There's a big giant whale on there on the bottom. I am going to stitch it. Progress photo of where I was. Stitched on this fairly recently. Here's where I am. So what I've done this year, as I almost dropped more things, is I've filled in the ship, added snowflakes. I think, oh, I still need to fill in the stripes on this sail down here. This is on weathered shingle 36 count from R&R Reproductions. Let's see. And on the back of on the bottom of the drum, it has a little saying that you also stitch that says, "Old Saint Nick, he sails the seas, his beard grows long, so he won't freeze." So stinking cute. All right, let me get the flosses up from under there. Throw that down. A big pile of, or not so big yet, but it will be, pile of WIPs down at the bottom of my feet. Okay. The next one is a New Year, New Start, and I think this is going to be the one that I finish this year, or really make a drive to. It is my New Year, New Start for 2020. It's also in a Diana It Is Kismet bag. This one is horizontal. This is Night Walk Down by the Blue Flower. She's so pretty. I love this project so much. All right, so progress, or where I was, and then let's show you where I am. I would also love to finish this because I know I don't need all of this fabric for her, and so I would like to know where the top is, so I should get to there at least. But this is where I am now, so compared to where I was, I brought her dress down, and I think I filled in that flower and started the cat. I am stitching with a mix of called for and not called for flosses. Part of that is that her hair was called for in Weeks Dye Works Cinders, but that was also the color of the cat. And the Weeks Dye Works Cinders? Whose Cinders? Nope, Gentle Arts Cinders. And it's also the cat color. The version that I have is very pink and maroony. I don't even know if I have it in here still, because, oh yeah, here. It's beautiful, but I guess it's kind of close to my current hair color, but it's not a cat color. So you're not gonna see it in this light. It's very rainy here in Maine today, which is kind of meh. I like to be like out and about on New Year's and like go do something outside and like really enjoy like the fact that we're turning over and it's lovely out. And like last year we got to go on a hike and it was like freezing, but it was not wet, and it is wet and I want to go outside. So perfect day, well, perfect-ish other than the lighting situation, to film my WIP parade. But yeah, so Night Walk Down, I think she's going to be the finish of my New Year, New Starts collection that I like want to get done. All right, the biggest of the biggest. Next, I started Consider the Lilies. So this I started 325.20. It's Heartstring Samplery. This is her companion piece to his Eyes on the Sparrow. So his Eyes on the Sparrow is very animal heavy with flowers kind of mixed in, and Consider the Lilies is very flower heavy with animals mixed in. This one, I'm so sorry, the progress or the before picture is like not ideal of where I was, and I'm definitely going to stand up to show you where I am and show you kind of what you can't see in the progress photo. So I'm going to put the progress photo up, or the where I was before photo up. You can see. Let's get this on here, and then let me stand up, and then let me move back. All right, so here is where I am, and I can tell you what I did this year. So I filled in, I believe I filled in the house. I did all the lilies from here over. All of this is new. There might be some new stuff at the top too, like this area, but I'm not positive. It's probably mostly at the bottom, but look at this. It's a very slippery fabric. So I'm gonna sit back down, and then I'm gonna fold this back up so I can show you that I made it to my third corner. I have turned 3 corners on this project. I have 1 more corner to go. So I do have this whole short side and then half of the long side on the top, but I have turned 3 corners. So yeah, I absolutely adore this piece. If you've heard me talk about it before, you know. It is definitely a piece that I pick up when I am feeling angsty or stressed out, especially about the world. I started it in the middle of the yuck times, and it has always just kind of been that piece. The verse that's on it is, "Consider the lilies of the field, they neither toil nor spin." And it's just like a good reminder to me to just like take a breath, because you can't do everything and it's gonna be okay. We can make it okay in our bubble. And so, not that that's like, I'm not ostriching myself and pretending that nothing is happening, but I am bringing myself peace. And so that is, this is like my meditative piece. And it's one of those ones that I like don't know if I'm going to at some point, like, is there going to be a slowdown because I don't want to finish it, because I don't want it to not exist. But I have to remind myself that like there will be another piece like that will come along that will make you feel the same way, and you can have that on your wall and just look at it. So but yeah, that's Consider the Lilies. It was my 325.20 start. Hades. Started 2 Hades in a row. I don't know who does that. Mini Which Way was first. She looks like this. This artwork's by Molly Harrison. It's charted by Hade, Michelle at Heaven and Earth Designs. And I will show you where I was. And then we'll talk about a little bit while I'm showing you this. The madness that happened just recently. So I lost all my progress in Pattern Keeper because I could not back up my files, and so I have been trying to re-enter all of my progress into my new version of Pattern Keeper on my new tablet. It's been tough going on this one. The colors are all very similar in these cloud areas, and I'm really just going to have to, I think, do a bit more of it when I actually work on the project. So I don't have accurate stitch count for that. What I can tell you, I think it's around the 10% mark completed. I added 877 stitches to it this year. I do know that. So I did get a little bit of progress. I would like to get more. It is a mini, so that amount of stitches, you know, adds a decent little chunk. But my recent faux pas with... Faux pas? That's not the right word, is it? My recent snafu with Pattern Keeper and my... That is not a Pattern Keeper error, that is an operator error. I could not figure out how to export my files from my jailbroken Fire tablet that was like ancient. And I think that was part of why it wouldn't do it, is because it was so old. But it also was like me just not trying hard enough, I don't think. And so it, yeah, all my progress went bye-bye. So I started that 6/7/20, and then July 3rd of the same year, my very next start, well, probably not my very next start, but what I have left over still, is Tiki Beach Sunset. So this is artwork by Amy Stewart. I'm going to put the completed, or what it looks like here, because holding a picture up of that is just, number one, I don't have it printed out. I don't want to show you, I don't want to like pull up my tablet because I didn't prepare for that. But also, like, it is big and beautiful and very colorful and lovely, and I feel like you get a better experience of it if I put the big picture on the thing here. Okay, so now I'll show you where I was. And now I will tell you how many stitches, and then I will show you what those stitches look like. Last year I added 4,190 stitches to this project, so I feel like that's fairly significant, and I feel like you definitely can see it. Actually, I'm going to grab my bigger board, drape this over the top. So my goal was last year was to get a page finish, which I had done, which is what you see in the progress shot. And then I just started going, and this is where I am. So I think like color completing on one of the ready orange colors on this paper lantern like really feels like significant progress on it. And I'm very excited to get back to this now that I have a very functional pattern keeper. I'm really, really jazzed. So hopefully another 5,000-ish plus stitches go into this one this year, and we see even more progress. But I love that artwork and that piece, and I'm excited to put more stitches into there. All right. The next piece is kind of... Oh, where is the next piece? Actually, yeah. So next piece is One Nation. This has absolutely like horrendous cover photo, I feel like. I'll show you where I was. I only had one state done. I don't think I had any stars done. I don't know when I will pick this up again at the moment, but this is where it's at. Let's see. I got all the way across with states, and I got some stars done. This fabric I dyed. It is the same fabric that Lilies is on, and then I hit it with some tan Rit. So it's like turned, so that the fabric that I'm stitching Lilies on, and this fabric right here, is kind of a synthetic. It's definitely not cotton, and so it took the dye in sort of a weird way, so the tan gave it that like orangey color, but I actually, or reddish, like Red Rocks kind of color, but I actually really like it. And I like, it's a really pretty design. My daughter's been learning her states and capitals. And And I grew up with a teacher mom. And on our family vacations, so we used to, this is why I like this a lot. So on our family vacations, we used to either go in our camper that we had. So we had a really old camper that we started with, like a camper shell on top of the truck. We started with that. I think we used that until my middle little sister was born. And then once my little sister came along, we rented a RV a couple years. And then after that, we bought a new camper shell for the truck. But my dad my dad worked, like with boats in California and on a fuel dock, in Huntington Harbor. And he, at the end of the summer, like probably right before we went back to school, would be like, I've worked my tail off all summer long. I am taking 2 weeks off. And we would like go hit a ton of national parks. But the year that we rented the camper so that we could all sit, because we didn't sit in the camper shell. We never sat in the camper shells when we drove. Well, I did one time, and I learned my lesson that that was not a good place to sit while you were driving. And yeah. So I didn't do that ever again. But when we rented the camper, we like sat, my sisters and I like sat at the little table while we were driving it. And my mom, teacher mom, would make us do the states and capitals. And then that same year, I think, she would just give us a blank piece of paper and be like, draw the country, put the states in, add the capitals. I'm very grateful for her for doing that, especially now that my daughter is like learning where all the states go and all this stuff. And I'm just like, my mom is like trying to help her. And she's like, did your mom tell you what I used to do to her? So I think it's kind of beneficial because she's like, oh, well, at least my mom's not doing that to me while I'm trying to quiz her on states and capitals and stuff. But yeah, so that project makes me think of that, which brings me a lot of joy. But we used to go to all that. We used to try to hit like a bunch of national parks. So I did a lot of camper camping, but also I have the unique ability of, I think still hopefully being able to mostly draw and fill in a map of the United States, which is kind of wild. So thanks, Mom. And also beneficial because my child realizes that like grandma was once a mom and she made me do lots of hard things even. And so it like gives that like, my mom's making me do hard things, I don't like it. And it's like, well, yeah, everyone has to do hard things. You can do hard things. We can all do hard things. Okay, that was rambling. Welcome to my WIP parade. If you've made it this far, we've only got, that was the halfway point. We're at the halfway point. Perfect. All right. I think that the next part will go faster because there's not a ton of history behind all the pieces because we're getting to the, One Nation was 7/4/20, so I started that on 4th of July. I've got one more piece from 2020 and then we start to kind of move forward because I have less carryover WIPs from 21. I only have one from 21 and one from 23, none from 22. That was my like meh stitching year. So we're at the halfway point. It's gonna be smooth sailing from here. Okay, the next project I started was Pumpkin Quaker from Hello from Liz Matthews. Let's find where that lives. It lives here. Here's the project. Here's the picture. All right. Pumpkin Quaker, Hello from Liz Matthews. All Hallows Eve. Might change the wording under there. I color converted this with the help of Steph at Keepsakes. And went with my favorites at Halloween, which are like jewel tones. This is on this pinky green fabric from, that I can never remember. It's Fiber on a Whim. I don't remember what it's called. I like to call it Murky Light because of the pink and the green and the murkiness of it all. But and then progress of where I was, because I was not far. I actually got a chunk put into this year, which I'm proud of. I finished that big purple pumpkin and added some little jewel toned quilt blocks, snowflakes, But we got a lot of fun colors in there. Actually getting a fairly good representation of the color with this lighting, which is nice. So that is where that one is. And then 9/19/2021, I joined in on the Crypted Sale. Crypted Sale lives in the mermaid bag. So I will insert a picture of what the Crypted Sale looks like because I don't have a cover photo. I never printed anything out. And I kept up in the beginning. I did not stitch the outside border ahead of time. I'm going to post what I have, what I could grab from my video before, but I'm going to talk to you a little bit about where I was because you can't necessarily see it. But I got a lot done on this, and actually I think this, I'm going to pull for a finish on this one this year. So, this is another stand up and move back piece. All right, so I don't think I even had the whole word cryptid completed, and I definitely only had the border down maybe to here. I think these guys are both new this year, and then I brought the border all the way up. I brought the border all the way up at the Library Stitchers Retreat. That was a adventure. I got cocky, which is the second rule of cross stitch, don't get cocky, and was like doing this border by memory, and I was putting the little hole in the wrong spot. So there's a part right here that I can feel it. I don't think you can't see it, but I definitely had to fix it with fray check because I had to cut a bunch of stuff out and it was rough. But yeah, so I have, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 maybe cryptids left. And the border's complete. So I feel like now that the border's complete, like that was a giant thing. This is a piece of, I think it's called Christmas Gold. It is from a stitchy box from Color and Cotton when she did stitchy boxes. And yeah, I off-centered it because I really wanted to make sure that this big blob was in my stitching. So future Marissa is going to have to deal with this like 1.5 inch border situation when framing comes, which will make like thrift framing it a little bit tougher, but I think it will be worth it. And it's 32 count. I don't know if I said that or not. But yeah, I really love this piece. Oh, and I changed, actually, let's real quick talk about her. I changed Nessie. I changed her name. So I think she actually did have 2 options. One of them was Loch Ness, and one of them either like with a space and one without or something like that. But I think that's the name of the lake. Like I think Loch means lake. She's like the Loch Ness monster. So I just changed it to Nessie. And I really love her. She's cute. I have always had like a mild obsession with this. Now, I don't know if this was true. My dad was a storyteller of storytellers, but my family is from England and Scotland on my dad's side. His last name is Dinsdale. And there was, like, in our encyclopedia, it was there, like remember that, like, burgundy encyclopedia set that everyone tended to have, I guess? My maiden name is Dinsdale, like the Reverend from the Scarlet Letter, but with an N instead of an M. And it had, like, Jim Dinsdale or Tim Dinsdale took a picture of the Loch Ness Monster. Now, like I said, whether that's actually true family member of mine remains to be seen. My dad, like I said, was a great storyteller. So there's a lot of stories that may or may not be true from my childhood. that I am coming to terms with, so that might be one of them. But he still had, like, it's still a possibility that someone in my family photographed Nessie at some point, and so she's the special part of this. So that's a part of my lore, I guess. Next, I started New Shoots 3/2023, and that is from a magazine, Just Cross Stitch magazine, and this is what that looks like. I guess I could switch this to Pattern Keeper now. It should be Pattern Keeper compatible. And this is on Forbidden Fiber Company something, 32 count something. And this is I've stitched on one of her other 32 counts and I used 2 strands. This one, I started with 2 strands and then it was looking really bulky, and so I changed it to 1. This is, this might be another one I didn't work on actually. I'll insert if there is a WIP Parade pic of it from last year. But the last time I remember working on it was on a work trip in 2023. So this may have not had progress this year, actually. All right, so I need a better checking off system is what we've decided for when I'm just saying that I have completed stuff. Okay, so we've made it out of anything that has progress photos and anything that you've seen before in a WIP Parade. We are now to my 2024 starts, and we are very much in need of a sip of coffee. Okay, so we are New Year, New Start from last year. New Year, New Start from last year is a big one. There's no way that this is the one that's getting completed. I mean, I essentially completed the part of it that I started last year. So this is the sampler book from Erica Michaels. You can get all of the patterns for this book on Erica Michaels' website. So it's ericamichaels.com/thesamplerbook. It says that on here. So the pattern, when you buy it, is the instructions for making the pages and how to put it together. So I started with A is for Algerian Eyelet, and I completed it. This is also a piece of fiber on a whim fabric. So like I was saying, this one I stitched 2 over 2, except for the Algerian eyelets and the back stitching, which I used 1 strand. I pulled my own flosses for this. I didn't use called fors. But yeah, so this is the beginning of my book. It gives you instructions on how to do them. Like, so the next page, whoops, it tells you how many stitches to skip and then how to start the next page, like over here. So I need to stitch in my little, you like create like strong eyelets for like almost like Hardinger style to like cut the flosses out, the threads of the fabric out, so that you can string all the strings together in the book. This is kind of like a legacy project for me. It's something that hopefully, like as a grandma or just as an old lady, I will have like on my coffee table that people can flip through. That's kind of my like thoughts and desires for that. But if you want to try to finagle it yourself, like the patterns are available on her site for free for each letter. You just need to figure out how to do the pattern part. And that I'm actually not going to take a picture of for next year's WIP parade because that one is completed. So it'll just be what I've done in the previous year. But I'm considering the January 1st start date for that to be the start date for the project. I'm not considering each of those as finishes. It is all still that big project. Okay. Next I started 324 from Works by ABC. I feel like this one has, people have seen a lot of this lately, or this year. A lot of people started it on March 24th. I actually did not have my pattern yet on that day, so I didn't start it quite then. I started it on 4/5. I've got a couple little holes in mine still from where I need to find some of the flosses. I did find one the other day, which was exciting. But this is the total height and the total width of the project. And this is where I am. I really enjoy stitching on this a lot. It's very colorful, just a really fun piece to stitch on. I love that you're stitching with a different color every time. I love that you can just stitch a 25 stitch little tiny block and feel like you've made progress, or you can also stitch a almost 100 stitch motif to make that same amount of progress, like space-wise on your piece, which I just think is really awesome. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited to finish this one, but I am also excited to continue to stitch this one. It's not like, oh my gosh, gotta get it done. It's very enjoyable to work on. It's on an 18 count Michael's store brand Ada, and it is very stiff. I've been actually stitching it in hand to try to get that stiffness to go away, which it has mitigated that problem a little bit. That's not really a problem, it's just like how, I don't know, tactile it feels. Next I started the Deadly Aquarium Sal, which has now been completed. Mine is not, but I will post a picture of the completed cover photo here for you. And I've been working on this lately. I guess I should take it all the way out of the Q-snap. That was ill prepared for that portion. I'm gonna take my long dog out too. This is gonna be a bigger mess than I planned on to clean back up. Okay. And here is where I'm at. So I got stalled out on the sea anemones here. They are absolutely beautiful. They were absolutely a monster to stitch. So, and these blue ones on the top, I like goofed on some of the back stitching, but I'm not pulling back stitching out. It's just gonna be like that. But recently I have finished that. Got this little Zero shark in there. I think he's called Ghost Shark, but it looks like Zero from Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm excited for that anglerfish down at the bottom. But I've just been putting stitches in now that I have my pattern keeper back and that I am feeling better that the anemones are all backstitched and completed. Like I said, they were hard for me to get through. They are gorgeous. They are worth it, but ouch. I started that on 4/13/24. Next, I have a Stitch in Time. I don't know where I put that. I just put it into a different bag, which was silly to do right before doing a Flosstube video. Why would I do that? Why would you put it into a brand new bag that you don't remember? Lady. What did I do with it? Oh! I found it. Yeah. Welcome to my dream. It's fun in here. All right. So this is 2 patterns. They were both on my 24 new starts in 2024, but I didn't get to them both. But I did start this one, the little needle book. And it is on a piece of 40 count latte, I think. It's a scrap that I had, but because it's 40 count, and this is a tiny little project, fit on the tiny little piece. And there are the top of the tomato and the pins and a little tiny bee body. So this one I hope to be pulling back out fairly shortly, although I don't know, maybe it's just like a springtime stitch, and I do want to get the other part of it started, so we shall see. Oh, the next one I'm not going to show you, I'm sorry. It is a design in progress. The next one is, so you're only seeing 29. Thought you were going to see 30 today. You're not. You're going to see 29. Christmas Rules from Lizzie Kate. So it looks like this. I started the top portion of the banner and stopped there. So I just have the word Christmas. So that will need to come back out and get some progress on it. That I started 7/26/24. And then we come to apparently Long Dog September, where I'm going to put pictures in of these ones as far as what the cover photos look like, because I think that me holding up a printout of a long dog is just silly. So I stitch long dogs from paper patterns, even though they are available in Pattern Keeper. I do put it in Pattern Keeper also so that I can keep track of how much I have completed. So I will put in my notes the percentage that I was completed at this WIP Parade start, which I have not done yet. Ooh, that's kind of dicey. Top of this fabric is cut a little wonky, but I think I will have made it. All right. So this is Act of God. I started this on 9/12/24 with Brandy from B&E Stitchery. And it is still stitched with a Silks For You silk. I know I've been kind of like mishmash on information of whether or not I have given you what I've stitched it on or not, or haven't known exactly what the fabric is. I have all of it down below in the description. This is stitched with a Silks For You purple. And this is where I'm at. I love how this one's turning out so far. It's really lovely. The fabric I ordered it online, which I do have a stitchy shop that's like, I think it's like 2-ish hours from me. So not super close and don't get to get over there often. So I ordered it online. It's a little darker than I was expecting it to be, but I think it's still working and it still looks lovely. And then the next piece that I started was also a long dog, and I started it on 9/18/24, and I'll put a picture of what it will look like finished on. Wow, it's very grippy. All right, it's Fish and Ships from Long Dog, and it is on the same fabric that I'm using for Deadly Aquarium. It's not going to have a ton of border. border space. It is also stitched with a Silks For You silk. And again, I will put the color in the description box. The fabric is Frozen Fractals from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Steph. It is a bit darker than it always shows. This is pretty close to the 9% mark completed, maybe closer to 10. I am debating on whether I want to stick with monochrome or if I want to do color. There are 3 crabs in there, and I have a really nice red that I used for the token of Silks For You silks, and I have been deciding on, there's a crab right here. So I'm deciding on whether I want to make the crab red or if I just want to do the piece as monochrome. Because it's like an aqua floss on an aqua background, I kind of like the idea of monochrome, but I also really love red and aqua together. So I'm having a crisis. Probably the easiest kind of stitchy crisis to have, but I am having a stitchy crisis about it. But, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I really love this piece and I'm really excited to stitch more on it. Now that I have, again, Pattern Keeper back. Well, I don't use Pattern Keeper for this one. I stitch it in like with the paper pattern, but it's fun to mark off in Pattern Keeper and to know what percentages you are done with pieces. That was like a big thing for Deadly Aquarium too, for me to bring that back out. That was like the motivating factor, was when I got my new tablet and I was like, okay, I'm going to put in, because I had never put in the full final release of Deadly Aquarium. And so when I put in the full final release of Deadly Aquarium and started marking stuff off, I was at like 58.9%. And I was like, there is zero reason for me not to continue stitching on this right now. You're at 58 point whatever percent, like go get some work done. So I'm now over the 60% mark, which feels great. And it was like a major, like I said, a major reason for why I like really wanted to like do it and get it done. And like got it in there and had the motivation. So even though I like stitch from paper when I'm stitching on my long dogs, to be able to like mark it off and like show what percentage done you are is highly motivating. Kuto Akito, I only have the paper pattern. I don't have a digital version, so I'm not going to be able to put that in there as such. And so, I mean, I could guess either scan, maybe if I scan all of the pages and put it in, it will work. I really don't want, because like there's an option of like taking pictures of all the pages, but that is so much time that I could just be stitching. I don't want to waste time finagling that. Anyways. All right. The next thing I started this year was Turkey Bay, 11/26/24. I just love the turkeys. I am obsessed with the turkeys. This is on a piece, again, from another Color and Cotton box. It's called Tombstone. This was from her Halloween box. And though that is where I started and put away at. So that is Turkey Bay. It's Plum Street samplers. I am not using the called for colors. I am just pulling from my stash. Next was Black Cat, which I think also lives in the same bag, from Bent Creek. Is it? No, he's in here. So that is Black Cat from Bent Creek. He is being stitched in Black Crow from the Gentle Arts, and Sweet Potato from Weeks Dye Works is the orange that I have. And that's where he's at. a lot of cat, a lot of black cat. This is a scrap piece of like a natural linen. I don't know. I keep every like little tiny piece that I have. All right, and then on 12/1, I started Self-Isolating Bat from Night Spirit Studio. This was a free release during like quarantine times. It's a negative space pattern, so you stitch on black and you stitch all the white, or it's not white, it's DMC number 2, it's gray, which I actually really have been enjoying. It really looks beautiful. Not like tooting my own horn that it looks beautiful, like her design choice of not using white but using that really light gray, I think was an amazing choice. So this is where he's at. And I love him so. Self-Isolating Bat. Okay. I'm going to take a picture of that one for WIP Parade for next year, but I really hope that this one is done and dusted by next year. And lastly, Christmas bag. Goth Santa. This is called Mary 2 from Plum Street Samplers. And I'm stitching him on a piece of Wichelt that could hold itself up. Look. Ta-da! Magic. / terrible fabric to stitch with. Here's Goth Santa. So this is where I am with him. Loving his little black and gray. Sorry, kids are squawking. I made it this long without them busting in. I feel like that was a accomplishment in itself. That's it for my WIP Parade this year. Thank you so much for joining me. I know that there are so many floss tubes and WIP parades and kit parades and plan videos. I mean, it's just, you can, I sat on the couch all day the other day and just watched cross-stitch videos, and it was fantastic. So I really appreciate you taking some time to spend with me. Please like and subscribe, especially if you enjoyed my projects and you want to see how they progress throughout the year. I really am planning on putting stitches into all of those projects, as well as starting some new awesome ones. So I hope to see you again, and thank you for joining me. Bye.